I just want to go back to basics really and consider what it's like for someone who's never done psychosynthesis to actually have therapy in it. What are they going to experience that's going to be different from, say, working with a Jungian or psychodynamic?
That's a really good question. And I don't mean that patronizing, but it's a very prosaic, normal question. You see, it really doesn't matter. So long as, in my language, so long as there's some ego strength, as long as they've got their lives, some structure, then they're in there with a sense of identity who you can work with or the therapist can work. I don't mind if they come for therapy to work out a relationship that isn't working, or finding a relationship because they can't find a relationship, or problems at work where they're having difficulty. It's not even career development, where they aren't achieving what they want. There are many different ways. Sometimes they'll come with drug issues. Sometimes there'll be some alcohol issues. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is what we can offer in psychotherapy, what our therapists can offer, psychotherapists, psychotherapy counselors, is to give them another way of looking at the issue they're facing rather than just looking to the past. Now, that's a very important thing I've just said for me, because if we just go to the past, then we just listen to the noise and we don't really see the being. We don't really hold the self. And that's why if we hold the self as the therapist, whoever's coming in, they'll, at some deep level, they'll know they're being seen in a certain way. And yes, of course, we'll talk about the relationship issues, and we'll talk about some of the problems they're facing. But if we hold the self, very, very soon in that journey, this person is going to say, you're saying there's another way of looking at this, which is not to deny the past, not to deny the traumas. For example, somebody who comes in with abuse, whether it's physical, sexual abuse, they can bring that in. And there are many different therapies that work with that. What psychosynthesis can do is to hold the being and wonder with the being what the abuse, not to accept it, to make sure they hear that it's wrong and all, but at the same time wonder what's really, why they're asking these questions now in terms of what's trying to emerge in their life. And in doing that, with your heart open as the therapist, that's what they experience. And does that make any sense?
It does. I always think it's very subtle for a client, because a client might not necessarily see any difference.
Doesn't matter
at first, but it's the context in which the therapist is kind of working.
That's the
isn't
point,
it?
Jamie.
Yeah.
See, if you hold the self, really hold the being, and aren't totally distracted, which is sometimes hard, by the noise of the personality, solve this, solve that, fix it. If you hold that, it's very subtle, but they know that something's happening. And they know that you as the therapist, you as the counsellor, are holding something that they aren't used to.
And that's something is often very spiritual as well, in a way. Because you're so open to it.
Yes.
What's subtle at first, over a period of time, gradually the difference starts to really open up.
Exactly.
But over time.
So that's the point.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate, sometimes people get a hit right away. Not everybody. By a hit, I mean, they go, wait a minute, I've heard in supervisions, therapists saying, this client came in and after 2 sessions, they were saying, wait a minute, you're different. What is it you're doing here? Because I'm having an experience, it's like I'm in a church, or I'm in a mosque, or wherever. And you don't deny, and that can happen quickly. And the other's also true. It can really take time.
And each client is a different
Totally.
world, is a completely different world,
Totally.
and it's an honor. Now it's incredible. It's incredible work. I'm passionate about
but
it
it's
now.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I experienced that in my life, being in therapy. Experience really how the magic works.
Yes.
But that was one thing. And coming to the training, I procrastinated as much as I could until I start client work, for fear, obviously. But the biggest challenge for me as a therapist was because I have a long background in the health service as a nurse. So I was wired to fix.
There you go.
Give the answers and to fix things.
That's a great expression, wired to fix.
Yeah. And I have to really be attentive of that personality who wanted the security to fix and have the answers, and just calm her down and hold the client. And when their life start changing and their will is in action, you're just like, oh my God,
I know.
It's beautiful.
It
It's
is
just
beautiful.
like, and I don't take credit. I'm just holding and seeing and accepting.
At some level, it is beautiful, and the fact that you can hold it that way, you should be taking credit for, because that's what that piece you're doing. Do you ever say to your client or clients, a part of me just wants to fix you. Do you want me to fix you and then you go, or do you want me to really deal with what's going on?
Yeah, I do say, actually. I do say.
And that's a huge piece for many clients.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's nice.